Heidi-ho, and away we go. Welcome to my Accounting 1110 Pincast. And the goal of this Pincast is going to be how to calculate or what our inventory costs if you are using the Perpetual method and you're calculating it under the weighted average method. Some books would call this a moving average, but our book calls it a weighted average, so we'll go along with that. If you're using the Horngren 10th edition, you can find this on page 373 in your book, and if you're not using the Horngren 10th edition, no problem. Once again, I'm going to use information I gave you in the first Pincast on these series. And you don't need the book at all, though. You can follow it and see how they did a perpetual inventory record. I prefer to use T account. So once again, we're looking at the category of inventory, with purchases being shown as debits as always, and cost of goods sold being taken out with credits. The perpetual method's a little different than the other methods in that every time we have a purchase of inventory, we need to stop and calculate an average cost of what we already own plus the purchase. Let's see how that looks. On August 1st, we have beginning inventory. We have 2 units, and it's at $350 a unit, so that totals $700. On August 5th, we purchase 4 more units. We purchased those 4 units at $360 for a total of $1,440. Because we've had a purchase, we now need to average. You have 6 units in total for a total cost of $2,140. What is the average cost of those units? Well, we'll take the $2,140, the total cost, and divide it by the 6 units that we have, and that brings you to a cost of $356.67 per unit. So we'll put $356.67. And what, in a sense, we've done is crunch those 2 layers into one using averages. Then what happens on August 15th is we sell 4. So on August 15th, we sell 4 of these units at an average cost of $356.67. If you do the math of that, it comes out to $1426.68, but in your book, my accounting lab rounds that to $1427 as a cost of goods. So it just rounded from $1426.68 up to $1427. So we sold 4, and we have 2 left. If you have 2 left at $356.67, how much does that leave you with in ending inventory? It's no longer $2,140. Let's just cross out this line. I think it'll be easier. We have the 2 units, and what is their value? 2 times $356.67 would leave you with $713.34. In my accounting lab, they round that to $713. The average cost is $356.67. So you have 2 units at $356.67, and they use that to be $713 in the next calculation. A little bit of rounding, huh? Then what happens? And on 8/26, you purchase 12 more units. So you purchased 12 units at $380 each. 12 times 380 equals $45.60. Anytime you have a purchase, you have to do that averaging thing. So we have 14 units now, and 713 plus 45.60 equals 52.73. What is our average cost per unit? If we have 14 and they total 52.73, 52.73 divided by those 14 units is going to give us an average unit cost of $376.67. So our average cost is $376.67. 14 times $376.67 equals our $52.73. On 8/31, we're going to sell 10 units. So we'll take 10 units at $376.67, and that equals $3,766. I think, yes. Hold on, I need to check some math. Bless me, I screwed up my number. It's $376.64. $376.64 and $376.64. Sorry about that. Caught it right there. So when I did the math, 52.73 divided by 14, I rounded that number wrong, but I fixed it. 52.73 divided by 14 is 376.64, and 14 times 376.64 should give you your 52.73. So now let's do 10 times 376.60 with a big 4, and you get 3,766.40. Your author rounds that, of course he does, to 37.66. So they're rounding to the nearest dollar. Up if it's over 50. This was 40, so down. So they're saying that sale cost us $3,766. Well, we've sold 10 now, so of the 14, we no longer have 14, we have 4. 14 minus 4, minus 10 equals 4, and at 376.64, that gives us 1506. 56, and bless your author's heart, when he finishes that problem, he rounds that to 1507. It's his book. He can do that if he wants. Where do we end up then? For ending inventory, we have 4 units at 376.64, rounded to equal 1507. And for our cost of goods sold, we have $14.27 plus the $37.66 for a total of $51.93. Let's do our basic cost of goods sold calculation and see if it works right. Remember, in beginning inventory, we had 2 units, 350. That totals $700. Then we had net purchases. We had 2, you add them together, the 1440 and the 2140, and you find that in the 4560, hold on, we had a purchase on August 5th of 4 units for 1440, and a purchase on August 26th, 4560. There you go. Said that kind of funny. Still total 6,000. So altogether this whole period, we had total inventory available of 6,700. In ending inventory, our count shows that we have 1,507 left. 6,700 minus 1,507 leaves you your cost of goods sold calculation. 6,700 minus 5,007 is $51.93, and if you notice, that ties out. Perfect. What does that do to our journal entries? Well, on 8/15, we recorded a sale on account in the amount of $2,000, and the cost of goods sold from that sale and the amount we removed from inventory was $14.27. This is where the rounding kicked in. Sure you do that on your homework. And on 8/31, when we had a sale, accounts receivable was 500 units times $10 each, or 5,000. The credit to sales of 5,000. Cost of goods sold using weighted average 37.66. Take that out of inventory at 37.66, and your accounting records land perfectly. So that gives you an idea of how you can see the costs flowing through the inventory account using the Perpetual system, doing it as you go along, what it ends up being for cost of goods sold, and ending inventory. Thanks for joining me.